We're snorting cap rates and shooting up cash flow here at Deal Junkies. Welcome back to Deal Junkies. Yes. We are back in the studio. I'm Gabe Johansson here with Trevor Howard, Mike Nuss, and Dane McKinney. All four of us are here today, and we are going to talk about, what are we going to talk about, Trevor?
We're going to talk about why people get into real estate and how their goals change over time. And then we're going to talk about how to not make friends and not have fun.
Resentments.
Yes.
Anger. Burning bridges.
Oh,
we're gonna start. So we're gonna start off with something happy and then end with something sad. Is that what you're saying?
I like my good news first.
Are we not talking any deals?
We'll get to deals at some point.
Oh, we got a new deal.
Oh,
We can.
Let's talk about the new deal.
You got a new deal?
right now?
I was gonna say,
Okay,
isn't
Mike,
that like a
how much
treaty?
does it cost? We got a 13,000 square foot building.
You turned me
No,
down on my
don't
ears.
touch anything.
Oh yeah,
So
I
loud.
can turn you down.
Thank you.
13,000 square foot building. Commercial on bottom. Kind of apartments up top or old hotel or something. You got to go tear it all apart, but you can put like 16 apartment units. The whole thing is $650,000 for 13,000 square feet. Historic building.
Ooh, $50 a foot.
Oh, really? To go renovate it all and
No,
turn
that's
it to
what you're
apartments?
buying it at.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
What do you think it costs to renovate?
Oh, what you cost to renovate it? Oh,
Yeah, and turn it to apartments.
You're buying it for $50 a
I
foot.
mean,
is
you're
what Mike's
starting
saying.
at 300 and going up.
300 a square foot?
$300 a square
Probably.
foot?
Yeah. it's
U.S.
Well, you're gonna have to structurally upgrade all that. It's your permitting's gonna.
So
be
you can't-
ridiculous, your soft costs.
Yeah, Mark told me we could do it for a number that I was like, okay, well, that really works if you can. Because it's worth like, I just back the napkin. What did I think it was worth?
$3 million.
Something like that.
And the commercial space is leased
least, yeah.
with good rents.
It was like $3,000 a month coming in.
So
from
the whole
something.
bottom floor is occupied.
Yes. I don't. It's like
I
a
think so.
weird shaped thing.
What's upstairs?
It's 3 stories.
What's
It's 3
upstairs
stories.
now? Is there anybody renting
No,
up there?
nothing up there.
It- but
no
it
one
used
up
to be
there.
offices or something?
It used to be like hotel space.
Oh, hotel.
Yeah.
So it's got plumbing and
So, yeah, but you're gonna have to tear it all apart.
all old,
and
really old.
Yeah, and you gotta go
But it's already
rearrange it all.
there. It's already.
the old plumbing's there.
Yeah. It's
So-
just
So you know
there.
where to put the new
Yeah,
pipes.
you know where to put it.
So I said, Mark, if you can do this for, I think I said like 1.2 million or $1 million, we can make $1 million on it or something. And it was like
Wow.
$83 a square foot is what it come out to. He's like, yeah, I think I can do that. And I I was like, really?
Mark's just a give him a number guy, and then he backs in
Yeah.
his.
He
and
just
so he
doesn't know
just
what's gonna be
does
required.
the cheap. Well, Mark has done a lot of stuff.
A historic renovation.
This is my least
This would
favorite
be
kind of deal.
It would
Mark
be a use
has
conversion.
maybe not done renovation.
The reality
of
is
historic
this is
buildings.
a 2-year project. You're not getting started for a year. If he's really good at construction, you're done in 2 years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was planning on 2 years.
What if he's really, really good at construction?
Dude, no, it's not. It's the other side of it.
It'd be easier to bring it up out of the ground fresh than to
absolutely.
redo an
Well,
old
it would take
building.
less than 2 years. So yeah.
So we were 2014, 2015. 20,000 square foot warehouse had an escrow, and it had this top story was office space, and we weren't going to change the use. We were going to leave it as office space. The main store was, or main level was like warehouse, and then it had 2 sub basements, so 4 or 5,000 square foot floor plates. Dude, we were a $4 million budget 10 years ago on that, $200 a square foot, and less renovation than what you're talking about.
So you're calling Mark a liar.
No, I just don't think he understands. It depends on the structural. I mean, $100 of that was structural.
Okay, so
Just structural
we
upgrades.
can't. They will not allow us to even do structural apparently
have to.
because you. Well, no, so they won't allow you to change any exterior, any.
Yeah, that's what I
But-
mean. It's gonna be really fucking
You
expensive.
got to do everything within
all
the
those,
footprint.
Yeah.
all those cross beams. when
Oh,
you go downtown
sorry. It
Portland,
also had an engineer go look at the building within the last 2 years
Doesn't
and
matter.
structurally.
Doesn't
Okay,
matter.
so
You're
far.
gonna do a
He
use
said-
change.
He said it was good.
It doesn't matter.
Your use change from hospitality to multifamily is a little easier.
You're gonna
than
have
some,
to upgrade it,
but you still have
current
to
standards.
you have to hit the new code.
All right, never mind. We don't have a deal anymore. But we have another deal.
We have an old
and
deal.
We can't tell the specifics on this deal because we learned don't share too specific. So this is a deal of some number of units between, but let's call it between 20 and 50. We'll keep it pretty broad.
Good range. Are you wait?
It's a new construction
Are
built
we-
within the last 5 years.
Okay, yeah.
Are you? What's your question?
I was just like, are we going against each other again?
No.
Oh, what do you got?
We already
Definitely
won.
not.
Definitely not.
It's under contract.
We're under contract. New
Then wait, okay,
new
go ahead.
construction. We're buying it for $222-ish a door or something like
it's
that.
your,
Don't say what it is. Don't
Hey,
say what it is.
dude.
Whoa.
Hey,
Hey.
dude.
you just. I got.
Hey.
Go for it. Go for it. I love it.
We're
Quiet.
buying it. We're buying it for about the cost it takes to build it,
Roughly.
and it's brand new. It's not even stable.
No, it's built within the last 5 years.
Oh, it is. All right, it's not brand new.
relatively new.
It's relatively new,
Yeah.
built in the last few years.
Within the last 5.
Is it stabilized?
No. So here's the interesting part about it. The NOI, we have to bring up by about 25% or 33%, some significant amount to get the loan on the building. But with the Fannie Freddie debt, you only need a T1 of that NOI to get there.
Hit it one
So what
time.
we're doing is we're coming in, placing SMI as management. We're fixing all these things, putting the bill backs in place, and then we're just waiting. I wrote the contract to extend until we hit that NOI, basically.
How do you feel about that, Michael?
I mean, you got safety. You're controlling a property. Anytime you can control a property and make it worth more before you have to buy it, it's probably a good.
Well,
way
we're
to do
making it worth what we're paying for it,
So, but you're paying for
kind
it,
of.
But
No.
you're getting a building for what it costs to build it.
Yes,
So
but
you're
it's
getting
just
the
finding.
land for free, the soft costs for free. You're getting all that stuff for free.
Yeah.
Well, we're
in
paying a lot of money
exchange-
for it, but
No, I'm just saying the cost to develop something, right?
Yeah.
You're $222 a unit.
Yeah, sure.
Costs them more than $222 a unit to
Yeah.
develop that today.
yeah, if you do it today, sure.
Right. So
Mm-hmm.
you're getting all the benefits of that price.
A little less, but yeah.
Would
But
be-
then time, yeah. Sorry, continue forward.
Mike, would you like him to keep interrupting?
Yeah. And then exchange for that, you just have to do a little work to lease something up. Isn't that what you're like vertically integrated to do? So you're just putting your system into place?
But this is also cool. So we get to do it till then, and then we're helping that dude out solving his problem because they couldn't sell it for. So we're hitting the dollar price he wanted now. So it's a win-win. But he's also contributing 2 other pieces of land to a partnership with us
Wow.
that are free and clear that we then get to go build on.
Yeah. I love it. I love it.
How many units can come out of that?
12 on one piece, and then some storage. I think,
Somewhere
on-
between 8 and 15.
Somewhere between 1 and 1,000. This project is in the United States of America.
Speaking of storage, Jordan was cool.
Oh, speaking at the meetup?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Jordan
so
talking about storage.
very good operationally, huh?
Yeah.
Like he knew his operations
Yeah.
inside and out. What'd you think, Gabe?
I loved it. I thought it was
Yeah.
awesome.
He kind of had the same effect on me as that one guy that we listened
AJ
to.
Osborne?
AJ Osborne, yeah.
Yeah, I felt the same.
Every time I leave a talk about storage, I'm like, why do we do multifamily?
Yeah.
Well, also the fact that he spent
So
What
true.
in the world?
Also
He's like, we pay for it, and it's you instead of buying it,
It
and it
seems
doesn't
like-
cash flow, we buy it and it cash
Cash
flows, but then it also appreciates the
grass
same
seems
way
way
that
and we raise
multifamily
raise the
does.
rents
Yeah,
faster.
and it's like, wait a second.
The grass just seems way greener.
Yeah,
Like,
but to
over
be, we're doing a
time,
way
does it
higher
deteriorate faster. Like, what's the catch?
The catch to me is that
Because
it
it
can be,
is a fad. This is recent. This is.
I
This
think-
is
I
lots
think-
of money
We're
in the
such
economy.
consumers.
it can be built so easily.
I believe that yes,
Easily replicable.
That's exactly my thought. Is
Yeah.
that it's too easy to build it.
Yeah.
There's too much land available. It comes out of the ground too fast.
Yep.
There are too many people now interested in it. I
You're
think.
based on pure market economics.
And even though
competition.
we're not in a technical recession, in downtimes your vacancy goes up. So like in Jordan's presentation, he said they were 99, 100% occupancy through COVID. Now they run at 85%. So, I mean, you're not hitting the same numbers you were hitting a few years ago. Deals don't pencil the same way.
Plus, those deals he was talking about were potentially not like super repeatable, I would say. So,
Yeah,
I mean, he spent $10,000 to buy this $1.5 million complex. They cash flows $150,000 on, and it's worth $3.
It is repeatable.
It is repeatable.
The
to
reason
some
we
extent.
like it is because the deals we see have so much intrinsic value.
Yeah.
Compared to what we get great intrinsic value, they get excellent intrinsic value, and we look at that and we're like, well, we can do that. But that's not, most people aren't. In that.
The first deal, I would say that's pretty. It is repeatable, but that one's hard to repeat. The second one is much more reasonable, where you're doing a typical value out of
his two big hits were, one, he bought from a family friend. So I said, how do you buy a deal, sell or carry with $10,000 down when you're 20 years old or whatever?
Yeah.
And he said, oh, it's a family friend. Okay, well, not everybody has a family friend that's going to trust him with that deal.
Yeah.
The other deal he hit on was he raised $1.8 million. Well, where do you raise the money? From friends and family who trust you now that you have these other deals and you've done good for yourself. So, I mean, it's a chain reaction. You have to get a little bit lucky, and then you have to build on that success deal by deal. But he also knew friends and family that had one.
He created the luck. Like, no one's even going to attempt to buy that.
Yeah,
and no one would have tried.
And he didn't want the money. He learned about, like, okay, what does the seller actually want? He doesn't want to pay taxes, so he actually doesn't want this money. So he learned, like, you can take $84,000 of tax-free cap gains every single year and then structure it that way.
I think for people who are already investing, his deals are very duplicatable. I think for somebody brand new, you can't imagine the first deal I'm going to get into is just going to be like $10,000 from this guy who trusts me.
They're going to be too scared to do it, even if it was in front of them.
Probably, more than likely, yeah.
Like, even if that deal is in front of you as a newbie, you're going to be too scared to not do it. For
Maybe,
majority of people.
Yeah, for good reason. You don't know what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
But he was smart. He studied it, wanted to do it.
Okay, so let's lead that into why do people get into real estate? Mike, why did you get into real estate?
I didn't know anything else.
What
face he made when he said that.
Sorry. Well, I got into real estate appraisal because I had a great job opportunity, and then I got into investing because it was a smart and easy transition.
Because you saw it through appraising properties, you saw investors?
No, because I read Rich Dad Poor Dad, and I was like, wow, maybe I should start buying them. And when I said, then started realizing what I should have been acknowledging or seeing in the appraisal. It just showed a part of the puzzle that helped lots of other pieces.
You're analyzing deals all day, and you're watching somebody buy.
Didn't even realize it.
You're like,
Correct.
wow, it was worth this 2 years ago when I appraised it, and now it's worth that. Maybe I should own a building like that.
So when I was young, you got laws and all these things. You're supposed to go get access to property. So I go to all the vacant ones because my uncle did not have to go to the vacant ones. And so I do a lot of construction when I was coming up. But the first property I went by myself was in 7th and Skidmore and 7th and Shaver. And this was in 98, 99. So anyone that knows Northeast Portland, 1990s, not the best part of the
Skid Row.
Yeah, it was starting to change. So we were in the early side of gentrification. So I'm there by myself, and these were renovation loans for a flipper. Had no clue what these were. I didn't even know what the loan product was, and I'm doing an appraisal on it. Mm-hmm. And I walk in the house, and you can see through the floor into the basement. You can see through the ceiling into the attic, and you have to measure these things and take photos. So I'm going to, and I go upstairs and use condoms and human feces and.
Were they yours?
Yeah, I went there the night before. Had a party the night before.
This is the last building I appraised.
I didn't know East Portland. I was still on the west side. I didn't graduated to the east side yet. And then I go outside and I'm on the deck measuring stuff. And then this guy's yelling at me from down the block. It's the flipper, and he's at his other house, and he's walking over there, and he's yelling at me, running at me. He's like, "It's gonna fall! It's gonna."
Oh, get off of there! Yeah.
So that was one of my first experience, and years after, it was 3 years later before I ever wanted to buy a house. So I had no clue early on that this is what you did to create capital, to make money, to create equity.
But did you get into real estate to build equity or cash flow, or why did you?
No, because I just didn't want to work.
So you thought it would provide you freedom,
leverage in my life. I saw that there was leverage in your life through real estate, and I had income and credit, and I knew that I wanted to buy real estate. I needed to live in something, so it was just a good next best step.
Okay, so you just knew buying real estate was good.
Was it disappointing when you realized you had to work more now that you were in real estate? You just got to choose when you did it?
Yeah, the like my progression was the first purchase was awesome because I didn't know what a BRRRR was. I didn't expect a BRRRR. I used tax withholdings for the down payment and then to renovate it. And I bought it. I went into escrow in like March or April. Didn't close until November. Moved in into like New Year's Eve, moved in that week. So we did some renovations and it was gross. It was a short sale. Didn't know what a short sale was. Title company negotiated it. One day I get a call and like, oh, you need to... I'm like, oh shit, I got to get a loan. But I knew mortgage, like I was an appraiser, right? And so I had people that wanted my business. So I got a great loan from World Savings Bank and I could choose my payment. There's like 4 different payments. So I chose the really low payment for the first few months. And then it came, and that was 2003. 2004, April 2004, I started my company because of like some stuff that had happened. Burned bridges. We'll talk about burned bridges. So I started an appraisal company. So I used the capital that I was going to then use for my taxes, right? So I spent it thinking I could save it, and then I saved it to then start a company. And right about that time, I got a letter from my bank. They're like, values have gone up in your neighborhood. Fill out this. So I just filled out a third of a page form for World Savings Bank, my mortgage lender. I sent it in, and then they mailed me a $40,000 check. Didn't do an appraisal, none of that stuff. And my best friend was living in the basement, and his wife. So my rent went down. I had a bigger place. I had a backyard, now a hot tub and a nice deck, and so I was okay. Great, this is awesome. And then I did new construction. So whoever, like you, I've heard people say this. They're so stupid right now. You go buy first phase new construction in a big neighborhood, and then by the time you have to buy it, it's worth more. That worked in 2003, 4, 5, and 6. Don't do it now. It's the dumbest thing you should do now. I've heard people regurgitate that bullshit again, but I did that.
It's worth more because you bought in the beginning in the neighborhood,
Yep.
and as it fills up, the values have gone up.
Yep. And so the first time I did this was like 2006. So no, I bought another property. I bought 2 other properties, and those were just in partnerships and didn't require a lot of capital. But then this other one was like, I was driving from, where was I driving from? Sherwood. I don't know. I came back roads through Wilsonville, and I kept hearing about this neighborhood called Villebois. It was like Villebois is the new thing. It was so huge and hot, and everybody been talking about Villebois. And this strategy had been in place. And as an appraiser, a few years earlier, and right around this time, one of my mortgage broker clients, one of his clients, was doing this. So he was buying condos in the Pearl District, and he was like going out to D.R. Horton and putting earnest money down on all these phase 1 D.R. Horton properties, and he was flipping these. And he was making good capital doing it, right?
That's how you make good capital for a short period of time, but not
Till the market
until the market shifts.
Yeah, because you're ahead of a wave. This is these early adopters. That's all it is.
We have a
early
friend
adoption.
who did that.
And it only works in the right market conditions.
He also has a podcast.
Yeah, the condos were insane because they were buying these for like $150,000. You put down $3,000 in earnest money, and they're worth $300 when you closed.
Say the numbers again.
$150,000, $3,000 in earnest money,
They double.
and they'd be worth $300 when you had to close on them.
That sounds like
That's pretty
Fugazi.
cool.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't the D.R. Horton see that and just
No,
hang
these
out
are the
on them?
condos in the Pearl District. So these
Oh.
are the conversions. The conversions and the new construction. So just like those are the small units. There's other types of units, but those are you're making 6 figures before you had to close on them. So I was driving one day on an appraisal. I was going from Hillsboro to Wilsonville, and I see Villebois. And I went in there, and they had 2 townhomes left, and I threw earnest money down on a townhome. I think I paid $225. I could have put it on the market the day we bought it for 8-9 months later for $325 or $300.
Wow.
Yeah, but here's the problem. I would have to pay tax because it would have short gain. So you pay commissions, you pay closing costs,
Yeah,
you pay
you're
everything
losing
on
50% of your money.
Yeah, and then you're making $20,000, and so that was like my first realization of okay, I want to hold property. I want to look at it from a different standpoint. The other thought was, as they're saving up down payments, is I don't want to save up all year long to make a down payment to trade it for real estate that doesn't do anything else for my life other than just be a bank.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's when I changed my mind that I want to be on the development side.
Yeah.
Yeah. What the fuck is Gabe doing?
You spilled your coffee everywhere. He's
Oh,
going
he's
getting
trying to
stuff
get
to
me.
clean it up.
I spilled it and then just forget about
so
it.
how did you investing and looking at real estate change over time?
The different type of opportunities you get into kind of forge you. You realize your different skill sets change over time.
It sounds like you probably developed some sort of plan over time, because at first your plan was owning real estate is good, which is honestly a good enough plan.
Yeah,
Like,
because that gets the car started.
Yeah.
All you need to do is get the car started, and
dude, you could just leave the car there and just know that, and you'll be fine over time.
And then you'll die from carbon monoxide poisoning.
Yeah, I think feedback's really important.
But like, so what'd you change over time? Were you investing for cash flow or value add plays or a mix or what? Like, walk us through what that looked like.
Yeah, so then I pulled all the equity out of my property, so I had capital, and then I knew I wanted to be educated. Which might have been an excuse for not taking action. And then the stock market crashed, and then the real estate market crashed, and then I lost all my income in my appraisal company. So then now, like, how do you get into real estate? Why most people get into real estate because it's a way to make money quickly, and because there's really good marketing for that. And for me specifically, I knew about real estate. I had experience about real estate, so I wanted to do real estate. But the first thing you need to do is evaluate your resources. And so when I got into it earnestly to become an actual developer and actually acquire property and do this correctly, I didn't have any capital, and I didn't have any credit, and I didn't have any income. So then my resources dictated what steps I took. So I took the next best steps based on what I had, which at that point was go get in touch with sellers because I need to be on the wholesaling, the acquisition side of the industry. And for me personally, I just really enjoy that side of the industry because that's where you create the most value. You create the most value in the direct conversation of the person making the decision to sell the property. Any step away from that, you're paying more people. The further away you get, you're paying people. So for me, not only do you create value by being closer and getting rid of cost for the people in between you and the seller, but the direct communication then allows you to create even more value through negotiation skills. And so I stayed in acquisitions. That's always been my focus. But now you expand based on how your resources change, right? So early on, I didn't have anything, and it was really hard to wholesale because you could get deals all day long, but getting capital for them was really, really difficult. So then I sold my soul to two guys that were crooks and just pooled capital and resources together, and they never paid anyone. But I got a lot of skills negotiating deals, evaluating deals, negotiating deals. I essentially ran their lead pipeline. I negotiated 26 deals within a year. So then the next phase of me was, okay, they're crooks. I need to start another. I didn't get paid, so haven't figured out the paid problem. I don't have savings, haven't figured out the credit problem. In fact, I'm going into bankruptcy. So what's my next best skill? Oh, well, I'm really good at negotiating. I understand lead gen. I understand land division. So working for them, we were doing some development deals. So that's when I really learned the development code. So I knew zoning and I knew highest and best use as an appraiser, but those are rudimentary skill sets. You take those rudimentary skill sets and parlay them into understanding the development process and how the intricacies of highest and best use actually play out. There's a whole nother skill. So you take the skill of negotiation, the skill of development. So then I was buying houses with extra lots. Then the next best step from there is, well, I learned finance and seller financing. So I start portfolioing some seller finance deals that didn't require big down payments. So I started building a portfolio and then so you just take the next best step.
So how did your goals change from the time you started? You're just broke and you need money, so you're obviously thinking of I need an income is how it starts, but in somewhere in there you also wanted to build wealth. As your portfolio started to grow and your skills evolved, did you stay in the same space, or did you start to say, I'm not so excited about the income anymore, I'm just trying to build wealth? Or did you add more of that component to it? Is it still about just making money today?
For me, it's always been about building out the chessboard of real estate. It's just always been about building out the chessboard of real estate. Where I've changed my directions or where I've expanded is directly correlated to how I've changed as a human being. So when I started my appraisal company, I was always a shy kid. I didn't really start getting past the shyness until I started my appraisal company. I started doing continuing education classes and doing public speaking. So that's where I started that was the marketing campaign to go get business to build a company. So that's when I started getting comfortable in that next phase of myself. And then in 2012, we started then hosting investor meetups. And then I was on stage again every single month. And then in 2014, that went to 3 times a month.
And so, that was still promoting appraisal?
No, that was for investment stuff. So in 2012, it was all investment focused. And so then that's marketing for your company. And so then you tend to, you talk about what you know, you talk about what you did. Well, then that becomes a magnet for people then bringing that stuff back to you. So now you kind of have this pipeline of, okay, well, we have a basis for what we're going to be doing. We're going to do some flips. We're going to do some land deals, maybe seller a care. Like there's a basis of deal pipeline there. Okay, well, what's the next best expansion from there? Well, now we have a portfolio. We've held some rentals, time to sell and exchange, cash in some equity, portfolio size big enough to start a property management company. And while that's happening, you're flipping a lot of houses and then licensed long enough as a broker to now you can become a principal broker. And I think there's a lot of the biggest, the quote where if you don't figure out your own vision, someone will show it to you for you. So I was a highly successful person, but when we hired Greg Pinio, Burning Bridges, Greg Pinio as a business coach in 2013, he sent us down the path he wanted to go down because he was getting kicked out of the area as a mentor, as an educator from the RIA. So he got kicked out of the RIA. He had no space into Portland. So we started Investor Lab, which was the Rarebird Investor Network, 12 years ago because he told us that we needed to start our own business around it and to crush the RIA. I wouldn't have done that. I would have just kept doing the meetings.
It's really hard to make money off that.
What's that?
It's really hard to make money off
exactly,
that.
right? It's not a profitable thing.
No.
But it got him kept him relevant
to go sell his stuff.
Exactly. So like I didn't have a vision, but dude, we're really good at public speaking. These events feel really good and we're educating the community, right? And so at that point of time, I'm becoming someone that I don't even realize that I'm becoming, and I don't have a vision for who I'm becoming. And then someone else showed me a vision, which then put me down. And I'm just explaining the education route.
You're not answering his question, though.
I think the saying is like, if you don't find your own vision, you'll work your life fulfilling somebody else's vision.
And people say it to
and
a
so
W
you did
too.
that, but it helped you because you got to help him fulfill his vision, and it led you to your vision.
Yeah, I'm not like it's. That's the real estate's the shiny object syndrome, right? And you kind of need to really get feedback on what you're good at. It's kind of what I was trying to get at. We've gone down this little rant, but to answer your question, so that seemed like a good next step. Start a property management company, start a brokerage, and start this education company. And that was kind of the next phase.
But was starting these companies a means to build a big company that generates a lot of cash flow?
No, I didn't have a vision. I wanted to build out a portfolio.
What about today? Is it there to generate more cash flow month by month, or are you trying to build up the REO so that you have wealth over time and that you're building
what
up?
makes sense for what I want to do is a property management company and an asset management company. That's what makes sense.
You got to take SMI down.
Yeah.
So you get more excited about the monthly paydays than you do looking at your net worth grow over time with the buildings that you're stacking up in your asset column.
No, I love to do fucking deals. And
he's a deal junkie.
And the byproduct of, I don't know how to create money other than through real estate and my team. Like my life is set up with a lot of leverage in various areas and focused arenas, and there's momentum there, and you need to continue to build that momentum. The great thing is that momentum is all to buy real estate, which is something that I really love to do. I love to negotiate. I love to talk seller finance. Like, dude, I had the best seller finance guy, 10 unit, and we've been talking for 18 months. He's ghosted out of nowhere. He comes back. He wants $2 million. It's worth $9 million. So I made him a $900,000 offer and a $2 million offer. And then I wrote him a ridiculously cool email yesterday. Like, I geek out on that stuff. I should have been doing something else.
Do you all? I mean, were you born a deal junkie, or did you become a deal junkie?
I like Excel sheets. I don't know. Excel sheets are
and
fun.
you liked that before you got started?
No, all this stuff is like, I've become this human being. I didn't use Excel until I was bankrupt.
It sounds like Mike needs some guidance with his vision.
Like that's a pretty profound statement. Like
No. Let him work our vision.
I owned a company. I owned a company for 7 years before
we should
ever
buy some
using
deals together,
Excel.
Mike.
Are you listening to what I'm saying? I owned a business
said a lot.
for 7 years and went bankrupt before I ever learned how to use an Excel sheet.
Is it still considered a business if it doesn't make any money?
No, the appraisal company made lots of money.
Oh.
Did you? Was Excel around at that time? You're pretty old.
Yeah, it probably wasn't. That was probably part of the problem.
Like I wouldn't use Excel if
But
it didn't
again,
exist
so now
either.
it's
Use an
evolved,
abacus.
right? So once you own assets, and where I got into spreadsheets is when
Good deal.
We bought our office building. I started modeling out an Airbnb, and then I started. So like the flipping calculator I used today, I created it in 2009. It's changed a little bit. The cash flow analysis on the 1 to 4 unit, I created in 2012. Changed it a little bit. You know, I've got some 6 to 10 units, and now all these new projects, I'm just building out new calculators and modeling them.
Yeah.
So I geek out on that stuff, and it's fun, and I have infrastructure built around it.
Mike, I have a confession to make to
Yeah.
you. I still don't know how to work Excel.
I took a class.
So,
It's
Why do you
powerful.
think I chose Trevor as my partner?
We need to move on to Dane here, but to summarize what Mike said, he's not really sure why he buys real estate. He just buys real estate.
Most people don't. Most people
Well,
get
let's
into
find
it
out.
for money.
But he came from an industry background, and he knew that was the only way he was going to know how to make money. So he used his knowledge to step into the industry, but he didn't have a vision
of
for
cash flow or net
wealth.
worth or wealth.
Yeah.
Or all those
No,
things.
of course I did. Like
That's what we've been
read
asking
Rich
you the whole
Dad, Poor
time.
Dad.
You just
just
talked
blew-
for 30
yeah,
minutes.
yeah, we
and
gotta
you didn't
move on.
Tell us if you were cash flow or wealth.
Well,
That's all we
here.
wanted
Let's
to
see
know.
how Dane answers it, and then we'll come back to you. Dane.
I wanted to move to
You
Trevor
asked a much more complicated question than that.
Trevor's much more straightforward. Trevor, why did you start buying real estate?
To get cash flow.
Oh, okay.
Simple
Gabe.
answer.
Oh, that was
That
was easy.
That's so lame.
You just wanted to replace your
wanted to-
W-2 so you didn't have to work
I wanted to
anymore.
cover all of my living expenses, and then that I only knew how you could make money through cash flow and real estate. I didn't understand the loan gets paid down, it goes up in value. Only cash flow. Wanted to cover all my living expenses, and then I wanted to grow my cash flow from there. And then I met Gabe, and he was way richer than me, and he didn't care about cash flow that much. And then I started thinking about that. I was like, oh, all these guys make so much money so many other ways. And I took a complete 180, and I said, who needs cash flow? Now I've converted back partially to cash flow is actually pretty cool.
What we missed was that Gabe was cash flowing
elsewhere.
in other ways. Gabe was doing very, very well in the cash flow area, just not in his real estate deals.
Yes, and you'll cash flow on their deals over time, but you're refinancing and reinvesting it, so it's an insignificant amount to build the equity if that's what you're going for. But now, I would use cash flow as a defensive metric rather than like I'm going to live off this cash flow.
Yeah, I think that's kind of what we're talking about is the initial allure to real estate is I could go buy some buildings and they could go make me some money so I wouldn't have to work so hard.
Correct.
And I could go travel a little more, hang out with my family a little more, or do some things that I want to do because I feel like I'm overworked and underpaid and I need to find a way out of this rat race. If you're a Kiyosaki fan and you haven't read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, read it. And if you like it, you should buy the board game, which is called Cash Flow. And it's a very cool game that teaches you how to build a balance sheet. It's just like playing, kind of like Monopoly, but it makes more sense because you get to understand building an asset column.
Do you know how you win Monopoly?
How?
You buy every single piece. You don't care about cash flow, and you overpay for every property every time.
Well, that's what we do in real life.
That's what Trevor
That's
does
what
in Monopoly. So
Except
Trevor
you
does
can't-
in Monopoly.
Can you overpay for property in Monopoly?
Yes, and Trevor wins every game of Monopoly. I didn't realize that until like the 5th time I played Monopoly with him, because every time he could buy a property, he'd be like, "I'll pay you double." I was like, "Dude, you're gonna run out of money," and then he wins every game.
No, because you keep pass and go, dude.
Yeah.
There's always more money coming in.
Yeah, I don't know that Monopoly is... I like cash flow a lot better than Monopoly when it comes to... It really helps you understand, how to build that asset column so that it starts to take care of you.
There's a place for both. You should be building both. If you're not building both, you're deficient in some area.
In my opinion, for me, and the way I look at it, and I read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, is I think that in the markets that we're in, for me, my highest and best use is to build my cash flow through business and to build my equity through assets. I tried to make cash flow in real estate, and I do. I mean, I have properties that cash flow, but I tried to do it like you said, go wholesale, go flip, whatever. And I gave that a shot, and that did not go well for me, as we have all heard before. So,
And now we're about to flip again.
Oh God. Don't even gives me PTSD just saying the word, to be honest with you.
Don't worry,
we're
there's
working-
not that much permitting required, and we're There's a lot of trees to remove.
The allure, to be honest, when I got into real
Did you
estate,
say there's a lot of trees to move?
No, they're already gone.
Old growth trees, and then we have to add a level to
good.
the home.
So we don't
Hopefully
actually
they're
have that
legacy
many
trees.
trees. They're just really big
This is
trees.
where you don't let the young, ignorant kids.
yeah, we're gonna have
I'm just
everyone.
kidding, I'm just
we're
kidding.
gonna have every one of those trees examined before we close on this property.
Mike, how
their-
many houses have you flipped?
Take their diapers off and spank their bare bottoms.
Mike, how many houses have you
flippantly
flipped?
about trees?
That's shiny object.
Well over 100, like 150-ish, 120-ish, somewhere in there.
So for me, I didn't know what cash flow or equity was. I didn't know either of those things. I just knew that
Sounds similar to Mike.
I just knew that I was broke.
I must need a
and
shoe dog.
I knew that I knew how to sell, and I knew that I would probably make more money selling buildings than I was selling cars. And I figured if I'm going to sell buildings, I might as well go find the biggest buildings I can sell. And so I became an apartment broker. And
It's very logical.
I used my sales skills to sell the biggest thing I could find, and I made money. And then I started to watch all my clients get rich, and then I thought, oh, that's cool. This is how you do it. Just like Mike said, you're watching it happen, and you go. I learned from all my clients, and some of them became friends and partners and mentors. And then I was off to the races.
When you were talking, I was like, oh, I got into real estate because it's relational, and you just get it. If you're really good at just communicating and being relational, there's a lot of value there.
I was just hand to mouth. I was on unemployment, and I had a nest egg of about 10 grand. I mean, I was mid-30s, and I had to do something with my life. And I'm like, I had always heard, if you want to make money, you make money in real estate. That's a pretty broad statement.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things you can do in real estate. I also heard that if you really want to be rich, you got to own your own business. You don't buy, sell your time. You buy your time, and all these other things. And so all of those, I had those concepts in my brain, but it had never been organized in such a way like it talks about in Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Yep.
I was about a year into real estate when I read that book, by the way. And when I read it, I was like, oh, thank God, I'm already doing all the things he's telling me to do. I'm in real estate related businesses. I'm doing cash flow businesses. I'm buying real estate. I'm doing all the stuff that he's talking about. But it just gave me the confidence to move forward full speed ahead with no thought. Number one, I never wanted to go back to cars. But number two is like, well, I may have to go do something else if this doesn't work. And it didn't matter. It's like if I go through a year and I don't make a commission on selling something, I'm a real estate guy. I'm never leaving, period.
Yeah.
This is my career path for the rest of my life.
That's why sales is such a good way to get into investing. If you can stay out of the retail mindset, it's a really good shortcut because you're essentially starting a business, building a business, easy to create leverage inside of that business.
It's really hard, though, if you don't understand spreadsheets to see the math.
You didn't
of
even
what,
look at a spreadsheet. What are you talking about?
I didn't even understand why. To be honest with you, I owned a lot of real
It's
estate.
amazing how people don't understand how you get to net operating income.
I thought it was cool to own buildings because everybody told me, like my first mentor, Brian, would be like, you're going to buy doors and you're going to have more units than the other brokers out there, and they think they're so cool or whatever, but you're going to own real estate. So I just went off of what he told me. But it took several years in. I mean, I was probably in real estate for like 7 or 8 years before I sat down with my accountant and we went through and I looked at how much I make when I work, which I make a good income, and then I looked at what my portfolio does. My portfolio always 5X's my performance, and I work my ass off. So it's like, I mean, I had to see that. Somebody had to lay that out in front of me because just in my mind, that's not how it worked. Because the commissions went into my bank account, and I felt like I had money.
It's more than see it because you felt it.
Yeah,
you can see it in a book. That's different than looking at your tax
the
returns.
difference between me and Trevor and Paul Curley is Trevor and Paul have an instinct, and they knew it going in.
So did you.
I didn't. I would have.
You don't
I
build
bought
a balance sheet without it.
I built it because they told me to build it, and they told me it was cool, and I thought I'd be cool if I had all these doors.
It was this shiny object.
I was just like, well, they told me, I'm just going to trust you. I don't really know if you're right, but I trust you fully that you're telling me this is going to work, so I'm going to do it. But it literally took years. I was 5, 6, 7 years in. You have to have some faith that this is going to work out, because when you buy a building, like the first couple of years usually is not very fun. I mean, most of the stuff that we've bought in the last few years is we're not super excited. We're way more excited to buy it than we are to own it. Like,
because
I don't really even like
no
them
equity.
anymore.
There's no equity. You got to create the equity.
Yeah, and
especially if you're not putting.
If you're highly levered, you do some. I mean, you're writing checks, right? How much fun is it to just write checks all day long to your properties?
It's
not.
not.
We just wrote.
I had full trust in Gabe. I sat down at lunch with Gabe and I said, I trust you. And then I bought buildings with him.
So you're still going to have to trust me because one day this is all going to work out.
It's just
but it takes a long time.
Well, I think that's probably why it took you 5 years, was because that's
about the time.
That's the cycle. That was the cycle for
Paul
it.
Calls it, you got to wait for your ship to come in. So when we buy a building, I didn't understand what this meant. I had to ask. So you take it's like you're loading up a ship at the port, and you're sending it out to wherever it's going to go, and it's going to go pick up all your gold and jewels. And then you just wait on the beach for years and years and years. And then he says, one day your ship comes in. And the ship comes in with all the gold and jewels. And then you go, yay! It could be, he's like, it could be 5 years. It could be 10 years. It might be 20 years. But the ship comes back one day.
Paul's
and then you get to send it back out, though. Unless you sell it, then you just burn in that.
You burn the ship.
I sent him that. I sent him a text once. I sent him a check I got for like whatever, 150 grand. I was like, Paul, my ship came in. I had to burn this one though.
No, you don't burn the ship. You trade it for the other ship.
No, I burnt that ship. I was out of money.
Sometimes you gotta.
He had to rebuild a roof on his other ships.
The ship was already burning as it was coming in. You just didn't realize it.
You just drowned it.
I'm burning you down before you come back, doing other bad things with this money.
I was curious, when you were brokering deals at the beginning, did you feel like you were advising those clients as you were going?
I felt like they were advising me, to be honest. I mean, I was just a bird dog. I was a hustler. I knew how to go out and make friends and find deals and win deals and negotiate deals. And I did not feel qualified other than to do a basic APOD and to look at income and expense or to compare one deal from the next. I learned how to identify on the back of a napkin what a really good deal was. So I knew if I was taking that to my clients that 90% of the time they were going to go, oh yeah, we want this one. Right. So I knew enough to do deals, but to be quite honest, to be a good broker, you don't have to understand complex modeling and all these
better to not.
I believe it's not. I believe that you can be too smart to be a good broker. I think ultimately a broker's job is to be a good fiduciary, to go out and find deals. And actually, you don't want to be so dumb that you just call up your clients every day and go like, what do you think of this one? And you look at it and you're like, why in the hell would I buy that deal? Like, you have to know enough, right, to not be stupid all the time. But at the same time, like, you don't need to know. So your job isn't to underwrite the deal and to do the due diligence for the client. It's their job. I learned that in the car business. There's a saying in the car business that there's an ass for every seat. And you go out on the car lot and, you can't sell cars that you like. You have to sell the car they want. So, I did this over and over and over again. I had to ask a lot of questions and get in people's head and figure out what it is they needed in a car. And then I'd lead them to the one that was going to get them excited. And that car may not get me excited, but it got them excited. The same thing when you're brokering buildings. This is why you have a hard time brokering. It's because every deal you want to do yourself, Trevor. And so you look at a deal and you're like, nah, I don't like that deal because you're smarter than I am. And then you go, well, go broker it. Go sell it to somebody. You're like, no, I couldn't sell somebody this deal.
It's a bad deal.
I don't like this deal. It's like, it's a bad deal to you. It doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad deal to somebody else. There is somebody that's a good deal for. Everybody's looking for something different. They're not all like us, right? And
but he's not a salesman. He can't just go sell something that he doesn't believe in.
Well, to be honest, I can't sell something that I don't believe in either. I would never want to do that. But I do also understand that some of my every one of my clients are unique and every building is unique. And that's the fun in brokering, is trying to piece that puzzle together between the building and the client and the lender and the structure and how that all goes together.
Work.
It is work, but it's fun work.
Sounds like a lot of work.
I think that's the evolution of the salesman.
You got to remember,
like, the
a lot
next
of
level of the
wants and
salesman
desires.
is not thinking about yourself. Like, that's your whole thing, is that you can look at it and be like, no, this makes sense for this guy. And Trevor's perspective is always, this is a good deal for me, and if it's not a good deal
I'm
for
pretty good
me,
at looking at for other people.
You are now.
Paul was like you, Trevor. He was only a broker for like a year. The year he brokered, he did like the biggest deal in the state of Oregon that year, and then he gave his license back. And I said, why did you do that? He sold like a a portfolio of shopping malls or something. It was like the biggest deal that had been done in years.
Yeah.
And then he just turned in his license. He said, "No, I don't want to do this." I said, "Why wouldn't you have keep brokering? I mean, you made a lot of money on that deal." And he goes, "I just don't get excited about making everybody else money. I want to go make money for me." I'm like, "Well, you made a nice commission." He's like, No, not like that. Like, I want to make real money, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And so, I mean, it does take a selfless attitude to go out and help other people transact, because you have to put them first, ahead of your commission, ahead of your net worth and all the things that you're trying to do. And that's, a good broker puts their client before themselves. That's all it is. I made my clients tons of money, and it was exciting. It was more exciting for me to make them money than it is for me to make money myself. I love it. I think it's amazing.
Yeah, it's cool. We make a lot of people a lot of money.
It's true. We've converted, but now we're just, we're buying different deals. And so we can still recognize when a smaller deal is a good deal for a client. Like, we sold that was actually the client who structured that. Got a really good fourplex close last week.
Yeah, I know why you
So
sold me
rip.
that one fourplex down in Albany.
I would have bought it. I know why you sold me that one
thing-
fourplex down in Albany. What are you talking about?
You paid more.
Yeah, right, dude. I paid more for yours.
I'm talking about the other. Yeah, I'm talking about the other.
I sold you a better deal than what you sold me. It was different.
All right, let's talk about Dane. What got you into real estate? What made you? Well, you've talked about this before.
Yeah, I've
but
talked about
You've
this.
always been a wealth guy. You've always been wanting to build for tomorrow.
Yeah, I've never been good at now money.
He's a cash flow guy now, though.
I'm a survive guy. I feel like Gabe at 35. No, I went in with the end in mind, and that was, I don't know why I was like that, but I always wanted to figure out like my quickest path to cash flowing without working, but I
Doesn't
really like
exist.
working. So yeah,
Stock market.
I don't think that's true though.
You should stocks.
That's not true. I mean, you can. The reason I picked real estate was because of leverage, and leverage in the stock market is gambling, but leverage in real estate you have control of, and so that was the appeal to real estate for me. Also, just seeing the guys that I knew who owned real estate was the same thing as you said. Like, everybody who I knew who owned real estate was doing really, really well, and they were all doing different things.
Mm-hmm.
There was nobody who was doing the same thing, but they were all just really, really wealthy. And it was like, hey, sorry, I can't make that because I'm in France. And it was like, you're 40 years old with like 3 kids. How are you not working ever?
So you liked it. You were drawn to the lifestyle.
I mean, there was appeal to like, time freedom. That was the biggest thing. We've talked about
it's
that,
more
though.
than time freedom, because you go on welfare and live in the trailer park and have time freedom.
Yeah,
but you
that's
want to
true.
be in France with your 3 kids.
That's
for
true.
a
You
couple
want
of weeks.
7 kids, not 3, though.
7
It's not
kids?
true.
You-
I don't know where that
You
came
definitely have
from.
to get into real estate to have 7 kids.
Sometimes a thought comes into Trevor's mind straight out. Just
That's every
immediately
thought.
out of the-
Trevor wants to have
That's
7
true.
kids.
That is all of Trevor's thoughts. I don't know if Trevor knows how
Do-
many kids he wants.
What's the difference between investing and gambling?
You have control of the outcome.
Mm,
No, that's the exact difference.
you have you can project outcomes.
You can project outcomes in gambling.
Okay, well then I guess it's the same thing.
I think it is the same thing.
It's not.
It's just
You have more control over the probability.
What I like, I'm
Yeah.
not a gambler, even though you guys are trying to teach me how to play poker. It is kind of fun because you can
Poker's fun.
you can gauge your risk versus reward. In that kind of standing at a slot machine is not like doing a real estate deal. That's just the chance of scratching a lottery
Hot
ticket.
take.
Like, it's
hot take.
I mean, am I right? Like,
Different
you're
level
right.
of dopamine.
Yeah, you're right. Trevor's being.
Yeah, you are.
I mean,
Trevor's being a
I
goofball.
would say like a craps table or 21 or poker might be a little more. I think poker specifically is probably more like real estate than any other type of gambling.
No, I don't think any of it's like that at all. But I think it's all. I mean,
No, there's
you-
people
you have-
who consistently
because you
make
have
money
to
in
you have to
poker.
read other people
Yeah.
and you have to know your hand and the odds of what other people are holding. I think that there's a lot of. I mean, I didn't ever like cards or gambling, but when you guys taught me poker and I started to understand it, I actually got kind of into it because
It's
I
fun.
was like, oh, I sort of have control over what happens here,
Mm-hmm,
and plus, like, you know, if I have bigger balls than you and I just put all my chips out on any hand, you guys just bail and I get to win the pot. So that's cool.
until you don't.
until you don't, which happens. That's happened to Trevor a few times. I don't know. It is investing. There is risk involved, but I believe that it's a more calculated risk, and I think that there's more. I don't know. To me, there's more intelligence because I don't feel like one of the reasons I like multifamily is because it's lots of doors, and it's an asset type where the more you own, the less risk you're taking. And so it's a numbers game. And to me, when you go out and you buy your first duplex, you have taken on more risk than Paul Curley, who has 2,000 doors. Because if somebody moves out of Paul's portfolio, he does not care. And when somebody leaves your duplex, you're like, oh, crap, I got to go spend my weekends turning that unit. I got to make the mortgage payment now. Like, it's a much different thing, right? So I think that you can mitigate your risk
by owning all of the real estate.
Well, maybe, as long as it's the right stuff, right? Definitely the more you gamble, in my mind. I had one guy I sold a complex to once, and he owned a business, but he was also, on his tax return, said he was a professional gambler.
I've seen this once too.
And the bank underwrote the deal, and at the end they killed the deal. They wouldn't finance it because he said he made a lot, like $700,000-$800,000 in gambling. Well, the way they underwrite a professional gambler is that you've lost $2 for every dollar that you make. So he owned his business, and then they subtracted $800,000 rather than adding the $800,000 that he actually made. So, I mean, I'm not a bank, but I mean the actuarials, the algorithm that they use says that in order to make that kind of money, you lost twice as much as what you made. But he was paying taxes on $800,000 or $600,000 or $800,000 of winnings. So it's not easy to borrow money when you're doing that.
That's absurd.
Okay, so Dane's a wealth guy. Trevor is now a cash flow guy.
Was a cash flow
Mike
guy.
needs to develop some vision, or else we're going to make him work our vision. And I can't remember what I said. I'm just a car salesman
wealth guy.
trying to make money any way I can.
You're a wealth guy.
Paul Curley told me to buy all the real estate, so I just do what he tells. What I am is a faith guy.
I just trust my friends.
I trust my rich friends.
That's my rich friends. Good qualifier.
Never take advice from somebody who doesn't have what you want. When you find somebody who has what you want, walk up to them and ask them, how did you do this, and how do I become you? And chances are they'll tell you.
Find your lane guy. Be in your lane.
That still doesn't
guy.
answer the question.
It so fucking does. It so does.
Did you find your lane, Mike?
Yeah. Can we move on?
I think Trevor has a resentment against you. We should talk about resentments. So,
is this really been going for 53 minutes?
No, don't worry about it.
Can you believe it?
It seems long.
Okay, so we're going to really quickly talk. So I live my life by two principles: make friends and have fun. I've been trying to teach Trevor how to make friends, and he is not understanding what I'm trying to teach him. Every day that goes by, he makes another enemy. I get another phone call, another text. Somebody's mad at Trevor. Something's going sideways.
No, what's he doing?
I think things are going well because I'm interacting with so many people. It just has to happen at some point. I'm making friends and having fun. I do that a lot of time, but I added a third part to your thing of make enemies also.
Make friends, have fun, and burn bridges.
Burn bridges.
He's like, make friends, have fun, and fuck off.
So how do you deal with this? Because
you got to figure out who you don't like.
How do you deal with this? Because I don't feel like I'm the one burning the bridge, but when the bridge starts burning, I pour gas on it. Like,
that's true.
Well, you stop being petty. That's the first thing you do.
Okay, here's a little bit of advice. Have you ever heard the term "lose the battle and win the war"?
I feel like I'm winning the war and the battles, win it all.
He's got the blitzkrieg going right now. He's got the blitz on.
So
they felt like they were winning the battles too.
Part of this is just about the human element of accepting people for who they are, where they're at the time that you're dealing with them. Not everybody is as smart as you. I have another partner who's like you, and he's probably at the highest IQ you can have, and the human element is lost on him because he's building a spreadsheet in his head, and there are just times where when things don't go well, and somebody needs to deal with something that's not going right, he doesn't know how to deal with it because he only knows the black and white. Well, this is the truth, and this is the logic, and here's where it should all land. And the world is not black and white, and people are not black and white. So you have to find some gray area, and you have to find compromise, and you just have to, work with people and meet them with where they're at. Sometimes I think that you have to decide, what hill do you want to die on? Like, are you going to...
Do you ever pick a hill to die on? Or do you, like, how should I handle it? Because I feel like I would handle these situations the exact same way.
One thing, and, everybody has a different personality type, and one of the reasons why I like being partners with you is you're not somebody who backs down. And so I would be the first person to go like, if they go like, hey, I don't want to do that, and the chips should fall on my side and not your side, I just go, that's fine, you can have it, I don't care.
We do that a lot, though, I feel like. But at what point do you stop doing that is the hard part I have in my head.
There's a time
I give the chips away all the time.
No, I'm
how
saying
do you define
never
burning
stop.
bridge? Are you talking about losing a deal or
No,
burning
we
a
would
bridge?
never lose a deal, Mike. We would give everything away for a deal.
A lot of this has to do...
I burn bridges to get deals.
Okay, that's an important thing to say, is because I'm a relationship guy. So to me, the relationship always comes before the deal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I don't lose relationships over deals because the deals are not as important to me. I want the deals, but I'm a relationship guy. Now, I may do it almost to a fault, to where I might be a people pleaser and I might just want everybody to like me, and so I just like roll over and just let anybody, if they're going to take advantage of me, I'm like, fine, take advantage of me. What I do is then I just don't work with that person anymore. It's like, go ahead, whatever you want, you can have it. I'm not going to fight, but then I just won't work with you anymore. I'm a little more passive aggressive about it. Like I might go home and think in my mind, yeah, I want to, tie you to your bed and burn your house down, but I'm not going to actually do it, right?
See, I think I should take the action and actually do it.
So are you angry? You're talking about you build up.
I have fun with it.
No.
You like
definitely some anger.
You know why?
Angry fun.
You were born to be a lawyer. Your personality type is lawyer.
I hate lawyers.
Well,
so do lawyers.
we've been through this before. He hates lawyers, appraisers, brokers, lenders. Mm-hmm. Okay, maybe you have a little too much hate in your heart, Trevor. We need to let's put some love in
I've
your
got
heart.
an idea.
You have an idea?
There's a book.
What is it?
It's not Rich Dad Poor Dad.
The Bible?
Written a long time ago.
It's the best-selling book of all time.
It's a good book.
It's the most
It's a
popular
good
book.
book. There's a lot of good advice in there. There's a lot of good life advice.
And it says an eye for an eye.
No, it says if
it's actually a
somebody-
collection of books. 66 books written by 41 authors over the last 4,000 years, and it's the number one selling book of all time. Probably because the Gideons put one in every hotel room, so when you travel, you can read one, Trevor.
It's true.
Do you think I should handle these situations? How should I handle this stuff that someone goes and does unnecessary hate towards me and I want to destroy them? How do you would just ignore it?
Well,
What do you do?
you just said a minute ago that you have fun in the conflict. You like it.
Sometimes.
I don't like conflict. It's just I'm opposed. I try to avoid conflict at all means necessary. You like the conflict.
No, I don't like the conflict, but then when it happens, I escalate things.
Yeah.
Yes.
You are.
You don't know how to.
You push buttons.
You would never be a hostage negotiator.
Gabe and I de-escalate things.
Yeah, you
That's
just calm it down. It's cool. I understand.
Is
where
your
you're
way
coming
better
from.
or my way better?
It depends. I mean, you probably need both sides. It's good cop, bad cop. But you got to know when.
Well, this
to
is
use
a perfect combo then. This is great.
Look at us.
Yeah, we're great then.
Look at us. Who
Problem
would've thought?
solved.
Just don't lie to yourself and tell yourself you're out making friends.
Oh,
Well,
I didn't say I was making friends.
You also said when someone's spreading hate about you. Well, again, how do you define that? What on the spectrum of the amount of hate someone can spread at you? How high is it on that spectrum?
I don't know. Let's say someone starts telling everyone that your business is a scam and that you're bullshit. What would you do?
Well, are they actually affecting your business? Do you actually believe your business is a scam? People don't like me. I got a pretty decent.
Let's just say they put it on a place where everyone can see it.
Like a bad review.
Yeah,
It happens to me every day.
Google reviews for my property management company right now. I just don't go watch them.
Okay.
We don't have.
But
all
what if
5
you
stars.
personally know them?
Who cares?
Who cares?
I feel the need to confront them.
There's no
and
reason.
say what is. I confront them.
But what's the
kindly at first?
What's the value out of confronting? So first
I want to fix my service. If it's shitty.
Okay, so there you go. So get the value out of it. You can confront them to extract, well, what did I do wrong? Can I learn from this? That's what you should do no matter what. And if you did do something wrong, you apologize and you change. And then that's not a confrontation. That is not burning a bridge.
No, I know how to do that part.
Now,
I'm good at that part.
Right. Now, if they're just being ignorant and they're being assholes, now you choose, do you burn a bridge or you just let that person who is hurting, that has something else in their life going on and they're projecting onto you, be a hurting person and let them project on? Because if you battle them, they're going to project more
and then it takes
and fight
mind
you
space.
more, and then it takes mind space. And so you just let bridges be.
Nobody hates you from above.
Now, what you do have to look at, though, is if they are continuously being, like I brought Greg up, like I publicly let the world know how I feel about him because he was using my reputation as if I supported him, and I
still
don't.
does.
Yes, because he's a crook.
I thought you guys were best friends. I heard him speak at a meetup, and he said,
That's
my buddy Mike Nuss.
That's his favorite thing to do, right? And so in that arena, I burned that bridge, and then extension of burning that bridge publicly made some people really mad and essentially burnt those bridges. But that was to protect my reputation of who I am and what my morals are and what my ethics are. So you need to value what you're going to burn the bridge on. Here's another example. Early on in the flipping days, so this is when my partnership was 3 partners, and one of the partners was managing the process. We were working with a realtor team. I knew the head of the team. Very popular guy, has since sold that business and still in the business. I knew him from the appraisal days. So my partner was working with his team member, and we needed an unreasonable expectation to be met. His team couldn't do it. My partner hired another broker, and that made him really mad. And I remember being at McDonald's when I was 280 pounds and stressed out and fucking life sucked. And I'm sitting there with my kids looking at me, Dad, and he's cussing at me on the phone. And I started the phone call. Yeah, Jeff, I fucked up. Our team fucked up. I'm sorry. It won't happen again. I take full blame. And for 15 minutes, I had to listen to him cuss at me. Now, there's no value in burning that bridge. So have I gone, that guy's I haven't said anything bad about the guy. He was in his right to be upset, and he went overboard, and he made it at a point where I won't do business with him. I know where that stands. And this is how it shows up. 10 years down the road, he's got a big company. I've got a big company. His team, now working with another big company, wants to start working with us on the acquisition side. So I meet with his team members like, yeah, I'm going to be fine, but he's not involved. And if he is involved, I'm not going to be part of that conversation because there's no respect there from a human being standpoint.
Trevor, in any of the interactions you've had that are negative recently, have you ever been wrong?
All the time.
Do you admit when you're wrong?
It depends on how it goes,
Or
but
do you- or
I'll
do you-
admit
In
wrongness.
one of the emails he typed out, it was all about what the other guy had done wrong and then how he should fix it. And I was like, you should probably include in there the part that we did wrong, just so it's like laid out who was wrong where, and then you can say how we should fix it, but don't just like ignore the fact, because then the other person reads it and you're not even acknowledging the fact that
We're just being assholes to be assholes at that time.
Don't say we're. I said to fix it. So I'll send you drafts of the emails that were written out from Trevor.
They're good emails.
You know the easiest way to solve a problem with somebody?
The easiest way to
Pick
solve
up
a
the
problem is to just not deal with it.
No.
Don't send an email.
That's not the answer. The easiest way to solve the problem is to have a face-to-face meeting. If you're in a marriage or your girlfriend or whatever and you guys are fighting, right? You never text. Don't email. That's what you would do. Don't use ChatGPT to try to solve it.
ChatGPT.
What you do-
Maybe have him create an outline before you meet in person.
So what you do is you sit down and you sit face to face and you hold hands and you talk through it.
So do you?
I wouldn't do,
not a
I would-
physical contact
I wouldn't
guy.
do. I wouldn't do that with other brokers and appraisers. But I'm telling you, like your guy, like 90% of your problem is that you guys try to solve problem via text and email. If you pick up the phone or have a meeting in person, almost every single time, nobody wants to be confrontational in person. You're having a problem. They text you some stupid thing that pisses you off. Take 20 minutes to calm down and then pick up the phone and call
Well,
them.
I think part of the problem is the attempt is not to solve the problem; it's to escalate things. Sometimes,
I would agree.
You're trying to escalate it?
sometimes, depending
So,
on who
but
it is and
what's
what it is.
the
Not in
value?
that situation.
because he wants to win. whatever winning is.
See, and that's where. So I gave one of the coaching students who's very similar to you, and he's not a robot, but just Ego is the Enemy is just a very good book because there's just no value.
Usually I'm pretty good at dropping stuff, but some people just piss me off. Where I feel there's a short list of people where I'm like, I will not let
under
this go.
your skin, and then it gets brought up
because normally I'll just lose a bunch of money, do whatever, and I'm like, whatever.
It's
Everyone
scarcity.
has that.
It's scarcity mindset. You want to be win-win. You always want to.
I'm pretty good at that normally.
You want everybody when they do business with you, like you should walk into every room and leave the room, and people be glad that Trevor was there when he left.
So that's how I do go about it, I feel like most of the time. But then when they clearly start to try to make it win-lose, then I'm like, nope, you need to lose now.
You don't roll over easy.
No.
Yeah, I tend to back down. You don't, and that's okay. That's honestly, that's probably something you don't want to get rid of. But I would say there are certain people that you don't want to burn bridges with. You don't want to burn bridges with brokers that work in your own office. You don't want to burn bridges with appraisers that you're going to use for the next 20 years on deals that we do. You don't want to burn bridge with lenders that are going to be lending again in 2 or 3 years that aren't lending right now. Like, there's just some bridges you don't want to burn. And you got a guy that's, trolling you on the internet and talking about what a piece of shit you are. Sure. I mean, I would be the kind of person, I wouldn't get back on the internet and do that, but every single person I met in person, I would tell him what a piece of shit that guy is and don't do business with him because I would do it quietly, but I would tell everybody I know, and I would help ruin his reputation, which I've done for a few people.
Yep.
Nobody saw a Facebook post, but I made it perfectly clear that everybody in town knew not to work with certain people.
And that's okay. Like, don't work with Chris Baird. Guy's a fucking crook. Like,
I wouldn't put that on the internet, though.
no, the podcast is okay.
Mike just likes to put it out. This is recorded, and it will last till
Forever.
eternity on Spotify.
In case that asshole's still out there, Chris Baird, Baird, and it's junior and senior because junior will use senior's name to avoid the bullshit that comes along
Let's
with
have
his
him
name.
on the podcast and have him and Mike hold hands.
So resentment is this is unresolved
I don't
anger.
resent Chris Baird. What are you talking about? Okay, I'll stop.
Oh, that resentment started to come out. The thing about resentment, you got to find forgiveness because, as we were talking about earlier, like having that resentment is like drinking poison and hoping the other person dies, right? You're just hurting yourself. Resentment is not abundance mindset. Resentment is scarcity.
It's important to understand that you fill the cup of resentment with the stories that you say. So you're over and over in your head, you've got this story about this dude, and you're just filling that cup of resentment and swallowing it.
I just don't even want to think about it.
You're addicted to that cup of resentment.
You know what you get pissed at other people about the most? Or the things you don't like about yourself. So if you really get mad about people lying to you,
I'm a liar?
you might be. Or you might lie sometimes and you don't like it about yourself.
The people I struggle with the most, that I like the most, the people that I enjoy in life that I struggle with the most is because I don't like the part of them that I hate about myself.
Yeah.
And I see that part about them more than I see anything else.
I think this guy was just being an asshole, so I was being an asshole back.
Yeah, but you're an asshole sometimes.
Yeah, I acknowledge that. It's my favorite thing. I like that about myself.
Did you? Okay.
I love how mean I am sometimes.
Now I know why your therapist fired you.
They didn't fire me.
Matt Cox had him on his podcast.
He didn't fire me. I won.
I graduated.
Matt Cox had him on his podcast, and he starts and ends it with, "I'm more entertaining and I do better deals than Mike."
No. I said this is going to be a way better podcast than your one with Mike, I hope.
Oh.
I didn't
No,
say
it was no. You said I'm
you're
more
wrong.
and better.
No.
Yeah, you said
that
more
was
and better.
specifically to my audience of one because I knew Mike would be listening, and he called me and he enjoyed the statement, so I did it for what my goal was intended.
It was comedy. He's trying to use comedy.
He was. I laughed so hard.
He was making it funny.
He likes to dish on Mike a lot.
In fact, I gotta get back on Instagram. I think Matt put a little poll. Who's better?
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Me.
I have bad news for you guys.
Oh.
Your number one client, Matt Cox, just became an SMI broker.
Nice.
I have good news for
he's,
you.
He's a referral broker, though,
I have
so
good
he'll
news
spin
for
you some
you.
business. What?
We add such value, it doesn't matter.
That's true. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it does matter because he's gonna get that referral fee out of every deal you do now. So you just got 20% of your income cut.
So okay.
From Matt.
Another split.
It's better than 100.
No, he'll send him other deals besides.
It is
the
better
one
than
that he's
100.
buying.
It is
Yeah.
better than 100.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
And he'll send you other deals.
Other deals.
Other deals.
It's all good. We're
Mo
one
bettas.
we are one big happy family.
More
They're-
and better should be about deals.
Mo Betta. We're gonna change it from SMI to Mo Betta Real Estate.
Oh, I like this. Mo Betta.
Mo
It's the next
Bamba.
LLC. Hey, Sean, register it. Let's go.
What was your LLC again? Michael P. Oh no, P.
I got
Peanut.
MPN. I got an MPN.
MPN.
I got
Michael
an
P.
MPN.
Nuss.
It's one of the many.
All right.
All right, guys, we're going to wrap it up. Thanks so much for listening to Deal Junkies. Please share us if you like this episode. And can you subscribe, or what are the other things you do? Do all the things that you're supposed to do when you like a podcast.
Give us a 5-star rating.
5. Oh, go on to Vesta Solutions and leave a review and talk about
If
how
you've used the service.
Trevor's ego needs somebody to leave a 5-star review to talk about how amazing Vesta Solution is and how it changed their life for the better. We'd love to hear from you. All right, guys, we'll see you next time.